when I write a song, or latest, by the time I record a demo of it here at home, I come up with a lead track or a solo. And that solo kind of becomes the default for that song, which is kind of a safety net I can fall back on anytime I don't want to improvise, whether live or in the the rehearsal space. And that's usually a good enough solo. It's not the best solo in the world, but it captures the vibe of the song. It tells something I think the song is about. But by the time we get to recording the song properly with my band Silver Rust, and if you haven't already, check us out. I put the link everywhere so you can't miss it. So by the time we record it with the band, I'm a little bit bored of the solo, and yes, it's good to have that safety, but you always falling back on the default solo is kind of lazy. So I want to challenge myself, and that's an important part how I improve myself as a person, as a musician, as a guitarist. I always try to challenge myself, or maybe not always, but periodically I try to challenge myself to come up with something better that still serves the song, still captures the vibe, but in some way better than the original I came up with. And I think you see this, what I mean, from the 3 solos I'm gonna show you in this video, which is about our second original song, Insatiable, which again I will link everywhere because we have a music video, and you can also stream and download it at, I think it's silverrust.bandcamp.com, but I put it on screen and put it in the description. Go listen to the song. So for this altogether I came up with 3 different solos, and this is what I would like to show you in this video, how it progresses, what I kind of thought when I wrote them, and just in general what is my approach to coming up with or writing solos. But let's hear the original solo first. So this is not the one that ended up on the record, but it is my first version, and then we look at the rest. As you can hear, it's kind of a easy or a simple and obvious solo, which was definitely my intent to come up with something like that, because this song is more on the pop rock side than on the hard rock side. Again, go listen to it to have the whole picture. So yeah, it's a little bit more on the pop rock side. So I wanted something simple, melodic, but as time went on, I kind of felt it's a little bit too simple. It's too pentatonic. And yes, it has a nice, building or an arc to the solo. It's kind of the most obvious or the most simple or cliche way ever. But once again, I think it's a good solo. And the funny story is that everyone in the band really loved this solo. So when I recorded the newer solo, they were kind of disappointed that because to them it was the solo, and it could have been. Again, it's just about challenging myself, and I do think I've come up with something better by all accounts. But yeah, so this was a little bit of a pentatonic vibe. I definitely put myself in the Blackmore's Night headspace. I tried to play with that kind of tone and just feel that Blackmore does, or did in Blackmore's Night earlier in the 2000s. I think that really fit the song, but again, I wanted to come up with something a little bit more complex or not as obvious. So I started thinking, how else would I start this solo? What would I do differently? Because this original default version, I start by bending up to the 5th degree. Sounds good, but also it's a cliche. So how else would I start it solo? Because if I start a solo differently, then I will go to a different place. Now, and just somehow that other Blackmore's Night lick pod in my head, but it basically has the rakes and it comes down. You'll hear it in a second. So Blackmore does it a lot, kind of when he's bored, but it does have a really Blackmore night feel to it. So I started to set up that way, so not starting down and building up, but starting a little bit higher up, coming back down and going up again. And the other thing is I wanted it to be a little bit more outside. Now it's still in B minor, but I use more of the natural minor scale than just the pentatonic scale. And I'm also, now not deliberately but subconsciously, a little bit trying to milk the chord tones a little bit better than in the first. But what I had in my head is to just play something a little bit more complex. And in the end I did not choose this solo because it's not as well thought out. It's more of an improvisation, but I, in a minute I talk about how I come up with a solo, how I write a solo, because improvisation has a big part of it. So let's listen to the second solo, which didn't make the cut anywhere. So it's still not the final solo, but my second idea, trying out something different. Process for writing a solo is pretty much experimental, trial and error based, and even though I'm not really improvising when I'm actually recording the final solo, although I do take some liberties, I don't have everything written out, note per note or note for note, but when I'm coming up or writing the solo, I'm basically improvising in a manner that I run the backing track several times and I just play over it. But I'm not doing that blindly or without purpose or just aimlessly. So about 80% is improvisation and 20% is preparation, because if you don't prepare, you just waste your time and basically flip a coin. So I do try to use whatever little musical theory I know to set myself up for success, to set myself on the right path. So that's like 20%. And of course, first step is get your bearings, knowing the key you're in. That goes without saying. But even though I know that this song is in B minor, I can use the B minor pentatonic, the B natural minor. I don't let that restrict me. So I'm not confined to that space, even though I use it as a launch pad, but where you can add more exotic or more outside things as well, of course, but I didn't add in this song. So I basically remained with the natural minor scale, because I as I said earlier, wanted something that's easily digestible for this pop rock kind of song. So second step is look at the chord progression. What are the chords you're playing over? Because even though we are not playing jazz where we play over the changes and change what we play over every chord, or we are not necessarily even preparing or setting up those changes, which would be nice, and that is definitely peak music, or real music, but you don't necessarily have to do that in rock and roll or blues rock, classic rock. But although if you think about it and listen closely, many of our heroes and great blues players did play to the chords. So even using the pentatonic scale, or minor pentatonic or major pentatonic, you can use chord tones of the chords that you're on in your 12-bar 3-chord blues, and it will sound really nice and more professional. And the third thing I think is important, that I'm thinking in terms of more triads than scales. So I'm definitely a caged person as opposed to being a 3-note per string scale person. And this is what I demonstrate, just to think about it. But then again, I'm not using it all throughout this solo because I think it would make it needlessly complicated. So the chords, let's talk about the chords first. I'm playing, you know, quints, or what is that, power chords, but the proper chords would be B minor to G major, D major, A major. Play that twice, and then G, A, then F sharp, G, A, and back to B, to the riff. Now, like I said, I'm playing basically a power chords, but if you think about it, every note except for the G is on the B minor pentatonic scale. So we have B, D, F sharp, and A. The chord that we don't need for the E note. Now, so that I hope makes it clear that the B minor pentatonic will work awesomely, and or just work awesome, I don't know. So the point is, for the G chord, I don't really think emphasizing the G note sounds good, not just in this song, just in general. If you take 16th Century Greensleeves, for example, that's also going between B, G, B, G for a while. So I don't think that emphasizing the G note sounds good. But if you think about the G major triad, that's G, D, and D. So your B is your root of your, B pentatonic or natural minor, and D is your major third. So this is why when you're on G, you can still pretend like on B, you're still on B. But let me show you how it would sound like if you go for the G. And I also added the D and the A, but maybe another way of. So I think it's a little bit too melodic and not, rock and roll enough. So what I kind of do is I play around with the pentatonic natural minor scale as long as I'm on the B, G, B, D, A section, and when I go to that G, A, F sharp, G, A, then I bring in more chord tones. But let me quickly show you how you would, play these triads. So just changing one note. Changing one note. So knowing the triads will help you get your bearings better, but again, in the first part of the solo I'm not really using that. But when I go to the G, now because I'm using this F sharp note here, I'm more playing a B minor than a G. So you could play it with the G, this G arpeggio. And that's kind of the major arpeggio shape Blackmore uses a lot. And you could play something like that. And then for the F sharp, basically the same shape arpeggio will suffice. Or I use that. I haven't used that in any of these solos, but when I improvise live, for example, I use that a lot. Something like. and this G, A, B is basically playing over these two chords. Again, just in single lines. But what I do in one of the solos, or maybe I think I do this. So it's kind of a play on this A major arpeggio, and then instead of doing the full arpeggio, I just play a scale segment, which, you know, those notes are in F sharp as well, but also on your B natural minor scale as well, just, you know, starting from C sharp, which is the fifth of your F sharp. But anyway, I think I'm maybe over explaining, or maybe not explaining enough. I'm not sure if it's helpful for you guys, but I, you know, just want to give you a couple of pointers, maybe to help you think about soloing or writing a solo or improvising. And this is something I talk a lot about during Skype lessons with some of the guys. And maybe the best thing would be to give you the backing track, either put this in this video or put it on Patreon so you can download it, and therefore, you know, you can jam over it yourself, show me what you play, you know, tag us on Instagram, either Dog with Two Bones, so me, or Silver as Band, or not just Instagram, YouTube as well, or send me if you play something over. It's easily imaginable that you come up with a better solo, but it's too late. I already recorded what I wanted, so yeah, but maybe you can enjoy not just listening to the song, but playing the song as well. So if you haven't already, go listen to the song silverrust.bandcamp.com, and I forgot how the video will look like, but maybe the big solo reveal is just now, and then I don't know where to put the backing track, but that's beside the point. Thank you for checking this video out. There's gonna be more Silver Rust songs coming up, and I always try to do something, you know, video wise about them, but also we are going to we're going to be back for the regular programming, you know, playing Blackmore in the next video, so hope to see you then.
Hey, now hold on a minute. The cat is in the heat again.